Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 2 of The Final Plan, the show where James and I go through our teams as close to deadline day as we possibly can to let you know what we're thinking in terms of transfers and all of that kind of good stuff. James, how are you?
When was episode 1?
Last week.
Was it?
We went through the dead and different.
Yeah, we did it as a live stream, I suppose.
Yeah, true. It was a live stream more than it was an actual show, but we're going to call it episode 2 anyway because we're into game week 2. I feel like a guest on my own show, man, now that we're not in the same room, but we're figuring out this Zoom thing.
It's odd. It's been worse. The old famous sitting on the edge of the M, whatever you were sitting on.
Oh, yeah, a something outside Evesham.
In about 30 degrees, trying to keep your windows up so the sound didn't get in.
Yeah, it's warmer where I am now. Do I look tan, man?
Oh, yeah, you look properly dark, mate.
Good. Because I've got the lights off. So let's get into it. A couple of bits to go through in today's show. We want to talk about the UEFA Super Cup that was last night. We've also got a differential team to try and figure out if we're making any moves, transfers or changes in that. And then a little bit on what you're thinking for your team, my team, and then the North v South as well.
Cool. That's it. Get into it. Did you watch the game?
I watched it. I didn't watch the penalties. When it got to penalties, I thought I'm going to listen to the penalties on the radio because I had to watch over on my laptop on a live stream. And the closer we got to the end of extra time, it was like, you know what, this is drifting into penalties. I can't be bothered anymore. I didn't really care who won. I wanted to watch the football, but penalties at the end of the day, I didn't really care who won. So, I listened to Adrian win it for Liverpool, the keeper that you said is not good enough for
He's not good enough.
Most teams in the Premier League. He pulled off a few blinding saves, line, as did Kepa.
It was a decent game. I mean, no one really gave a shit.
It was a really good game.
No neutral would give a shit unless you were involved. I'm not even sure supporters of their own clubs were that bothered about it. The fact that he went to extra time was a bit farcical.
Yeah. They should have done what they did with the Community Shield and just locked it off.
Yeah, just pens. Trying to make the game feel like it's got more value than it really has. I mean, if you're going to be like that, fine, but then have it a weekend before the season starts. Or 2 weekends before the season starts. So, can't be expecting... admittedly, a lot of the other leagues haven't started yet. So it looked worse that it was 2 English teams involved in the game. But yeah, man, I mean, Liverpool go to Southampton now and community's panicking, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. I'm not changing my triple Liverpool defence. Trent, to be fair, only played extra time, so he hasn't had a real run out. As much as it is hard for Robertson because he does bomb up and down, VVD wasn't exactly covering the most amount of yards. He's a centre-back at the end of the day, so I'm not overly worried about any defensive assets. But Salah playing 120 minutes, Mane played most of the 120 minutes. They could be causes for concern in that heat, but I don't know. If you've got them, you've got to play them. Because when Liverpool did turn it on yesterday, they looked like they could cut through Chelsea at any time. And I see what Ted at Rotation FPL means now about optional defending for Chelsea.
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of people worrying about not having their Liverpool assets. Like, if you've got them, you can't even think about leaving them out. It's the Salah, right? A lot of people are going to captain him, and now they're worried. And I think he is the worry, isn't he? But, I mean, I would take the view of it and go, no game afterwards important. So they don't play Arsenal till the following Saturday. So, you know, get him on the pitch, win the game, and then take him off early if you can. That would be my faults.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. I thought Chelsea played particularly well. It was a good performance and better than I was expecting, to be honest with you. I think they've lined up as their 4-3-3. Pulisic did well. Pedro did well. I thought they were better with Abraham than Giroud. Giroud's not very mobile. He doesn't really get about the pitch as much as you might need him to. If you look at Giroud versus Firmino, Firmino's linking up the play and getting in and around and making movement, making space for Salah and Mane. Giroud doesn't do that. He's much more right place, right time to put the ball in the back of the net.
I bet if they play the same amount of games, Giroud would get more goals than Abraham, though.
Well, that's an interesting one. Yeah, quite possibly. That's an interesting one. But what Abraham gives to the team, I think, is a little better. But Chelsea, ultimately, if they really want to go on and beat teams, they can't play with 3 what you'd call defensive-minded midfielders in Jorginho, Kante, and Kovacic. Like, who has three holding midfielders almost?
No, I disagree, because that they obviously went that way against Liverpool, and they were a lot more solid than they were against United to the counter-attack. I mean, simply just by having N'Golo Kante on the pitch is going to make a massive difference, whatever system they play. But it was a bit more solid, and I think you might see them in the bigger games go more to that style rather than having like a Mason Mount or a Ross Barkley in there ahead of a two.
I agree with you. In the bigger games against the cities and the Liverpools of the world, yeah, by all means play all three. But in the majority of other games, they don't need it. Like, two out of Jorginho, Kante, and Kovacic is more than good enough. And then that gives you, because you had Pulisic and Pedro and Giroud. If they didn't have Kovacic and had maybe Barkley or Mount, to be honest, Mason Mount I thought was even better as part of a three, then they've got much more attacking prowess. And a 4-2-3-1 for them with those players could be really, really good. It could be really, really good. Kante, I thought, was just different class.
He's a step up from anything they've got. And the two that really stood out for me last night was the wide players, Pulisic and Pedro. Pulisic's getting a lot of attention on Twitter. Obviously, he had the goal disallowed. It was the right decision. But the way he come in, cut inside and hit it, better goalkeeper would have saved it, by the way, so it's just saying. I think a lot looking at him now and expecting him to break in the team. But Pedro's numbers, very quietly, very effective. He's still busy. He's still getting about the pitch and putting the pressure on. And he's the one who I really feel like if Abraham or Giroud are going to drop towards the ball, he's the one who wants to pick up the space behind. He also created more key passes in game week 1 than any other player. That's despite playing away to United with 5. And he had another 4 in the Liverpool game. So there's 9 key chances created in 2 games against United and Liverpool. The problem with him is the same old as always, isn't it? Would he play? And amongst that, there's no returns. So
yeah, I did think the way they were cut, that they definitely had a plan to have the wide guys cut and try and cut in between whoever the centre back was and the fullback in that channel, and Jorginho kind of thread the ball through so that they can make those diagonal runs and try and dissect the defence. The problem was that Matip and Van Dijk just cleaned everything up. Like, Matip was just clean. They just were stronger, physically stronger and quicker. And so you just couldn't get through them. But I thought Matip was particularly good. Anyone who was thinking Gomez, I thought Matip defensively was solid.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. There's a theory at the moment that Trent will get left out in these sort of bigger games. I don't see it. I think he's first choice, and it's not going to be too much of a problem. He's too good going forward. It's definitely something missing in Liverpool when he's not playing. Yeah, all right, it might be a bit more defensively solid with Gomez at right back, but you're missing something massively. Because he even from deep right back positions, he can play a long direct ball, a long diagonal. He doesn't need to get the byline to get the crosses in. Then you've got the set piece taken on top of it. I don't see big problems. And obviously, it's Gomez that's ended up playing. Well, he played extra time, didn't he? Out of position. But he started at right back, right? So Gomez played the 120.
Right back and finished at left back.
Yeah. So Gomez played the 120, so that's not a concern, is it?
Yeah. I remember the commentary saying that Gomez has now played 3 out of the back 4 positions in the first 2 games of the season. He started at centre back. He was centre back against Norwich, right back at the beginning of this game, and ended at left back.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's useful to know rather than just using Milner at left back.
Exactly. With Trent off the pitch, it was Henderson that was getting dragged out to the right a little more. And Henderson, that's not where you want him. You want him in the middle of the pitch, linking up the play more. But, all in all, it was a good. It was enjoyable to watch, and I think I saw enough from Chelsea to think, what, if they get that side settled and learn to play in the way that Frank wants, there's something in there. I thought Mason Mount, class. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, he will be a very, very good player. I know Ted was Rotation FPL was tweeting again Wednesday night and saying, like, at the moment, choice between Mount, Barkley in the 10 role or a left wing role. If it's a choice of one, he would go Mount.
Mount. I agree with him. Mount, definitely.
That Ross Barkley bandwagon soon fucking calm down, isn't it? Talking of bandwagons, we should mention one because there's been a few price rises. Anthony Martial, mate, is on everybody's mind.
So it was 2 City and 2 Man United price rises this week. So it was basically, if you play in Manchester, your price is going up, and anywhere else in the country is going down or nowhere. You can understand the 2 City assets in Sterling and Ederson, because a lot of players will have gone from Alisson to Ederson, so it makes sense. And Sterling, I mean, 20 points playing up front, top point scorer of that game week. He's obviously going to get a rise. But Martial and De Gea are 2 interesting options. Again, De Gea's price must be because of people moving away from Alisson.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously everyone's latching on to the Martial OOP.
Martial, yeah. I'll be honest with you. I've seen everything going on Twitter. I've just ignored all of it.
As you do.
I mean, I've made the decision that he's not for me, and that's it. There's just no point in getting involved with it.
When you say you've made that decision he's not for you, what do you mean?
I can't afford it, for starters.
So you mean it's not for you this week? It's not
generally. Yeah. He's not for me. It's not that he's not for me as an asset or potential player, but he's not for me for my team. All right. I can't afford. I've got 3 midfielders: Sterling, Perez at 6.5, and Ceballos at 5.5. And the one that I need to maybe think about is Ceballos. I haven't got enough money to get to 7.5 or 7.6 now, so there's no point worrying about it or thinking about it. I need to do surgery to my squad to be able to get him in. So literally at that point, why am I worrying about it? It's outside, out of mind.
I'm actually really pleased that he's already gone up in price and taken the option away from me because I've got nothing in the bank. To almost say, right, do you know what? Don't overthink this and overdrama this. Just stay with it. Because a lot of people are thinking Mora to Martial or Fraser to Martial, right? I've got Mora and Fraser. Of the 3, I maintain Fraser's got the best fixture this weekend and is the most likely to return.
Away at Villa?
Yeah. More than Martial at Wolves and more than Mora at City.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the week after, I've potentially got Mora back in at home to Newcastle. And I probably more want to go Fraser to Martial then. All right, I haven't got the early price on it, but I don't feel the necessity to smash into that with United away to Wolves. That's how I personally feel. So at the moment, I'm very unlikely to do anything. The other thing I'm thinking strongly about is Kane to Aubameyang.
I'll tell you why.
1 week in and out.
Yeah, if you do it, I'll tell you why I think it's interesting. It's because a lot of people who had that premeditated are actually now not going to do it. So it's a differential. What you're doing is putting yourself as the outside. You're going against the general grain, which is to just sit and hold.
Yeah, are you making any planned transfers this week?
No, not really. So the transfer that was on my mind was Ceballos to McGinn. I think the home tie against Bournemouth actually is quite good for Villa, as much as you think it's a good fixture for Fraser. It's probably going to be a good game for both teams, to be honest. But McGinn at 5.5, and that still leaves me $500,000 in the bank. The other option is to go to a 6 million rated midfielder, because I do have that money, which could have been Goodmanson, but obviously their fixtures away at Arsenal was pretty tough. And then I did have a cheeky look at Kante and Jorginho for Chelsea yesterday, because Kante's 5 million. He's got 5 or 6 attacking returns in the last 2 seasons. And that's 110, 120 points. 120 points of a 5 million asset isn't bad. And Kante was getting...
You think he'll hit them numbers?
He did last year, he got 116, right?
Did he?
And this year was like 98. And the year before that was 110 or something like that.
He's got 76 of those through appearance points. Then he's probably got about another 10 off the bonus on the clean sheet. That's 86. How many points has he actually picked you up? 20?
4 goals, 4 assists last year. What was that? 20 plus 35. 35 or 40 off other bits and pieces and bonus. But I'm thinking it's cheap, right? 5 million.
If you're going to go there, I think you'd go Jorginho, wouldn't you? Because he might be on the
penalties. Yeah, because penalties and what have you. But either one of those two, based on what I saw yesterday, they played well. I'm just thinking, rather than trying to look for a crazy amount of attacking returns that are sporadic, which Goodmanson or McGinn might be, maybe the consistency of Jorginho and Kante. And this is the road I'm going to go down. It was just something that kind of came up based on yesterday's game. if I make a move this week, it'll be Ceballos to McGinn or another at the moment. But I'm more than likely going to roll it.
Just a word on Kante to sort of back up your thoughts. 8 attacking returns last year. I didn't realise it was that many. 4 goals, 4 assists. But don't forget, he was kind of playing in that sort of inside right position as the one to break into the box. Whereas on the inside left of the midfield three, they had like a Kovacic or a Barkley who were sitting there and wanted the ball. It was up to Kante to get in the box. I'm not sure under this system now, because I think in the majority of games they'll play with a 2 as a double pivot in central midfield. He's not going to break in the same way.
No,
so I don't think you can compare it on last year's numbers.
No, he did get forward yesterday, though. He was in and around the box trying to create stuff.
Yeah, but that's very similar to the system they played with Sarri last year.
Yeah.
Whereas we think most of the time they won't play like that.
Yeah, I want to wait and see. I want to see what they do. So there we go. Yeah, I'm not planning any other moves at the moment. Holding tight. The difficulty for me this weekend is going to be the defence. Liverpool having played 120 minutes, like we talked about, and then City have got Tottenham, and Tottenham can score at any time. But I suppose I've got Kane, and then I've got the 2 City defence, so I'm kind of hedging my bets a little bit there.
Okay, cool. Should we move on to the focus teams? My instinct is neither you or I are making a transfer this week.
Nah, more than likely hold and carry on. The differentials is an interesting one. So we had a couple of auto subs last week. David Luiz and Lacazette dropped to the bench, and Zuma and Haller came onto the pitch as auto subs. So this week, I think for me, it's like drop Lloris, bring in Heaton.
Agreed.
Drop Lamela and bring in Pepe. Again, home tie against Burnley for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then you've got Lacazette and David Luiz are in the starting lineup from last week anyway. So we'd end up with triple Arsenal at home to Burnley this week.
The thing is with that triple Arsenal, right? David Luiz, Pepe, Lacazette. None of them play, right?
Exactly.
That's the only thing.
How much money? The one thing I didn't know, because I don't have the login, mate, is how much money we've got in the bank.
We spunked it all, I think.
Fair play. The one that was a concern, the one that I would maybe would either be Haller or Lamela as transfer options.
Well, what I was thinking, what we got to be careful, so to clarify for the listeners, the differential team, we can only buy players when they're under 10% ownership.
Correct.
All right. If they go above 20, we have to sell. Now, this is different to what me saying about waiting for Martial for the Palace fixture maybe in game week 3 if you want to go that way. Like, if we want him in this, we got to do it now.
And who would you remove? Pogba?
Either Pogba or... We've got no money in the bank, so it's either Pogba or Pepe.
Yeah, I'm not feeling Martial ahead of either of those two.
He could completely miss it, mate. They've got a good run after this weekend.
I'm not feeling him ahead of Pepe because we haven't given Pepe a chance yet, but Pogba's the only one if you really wanted to. Pogba's the only one.
I'm just looking at Pogba's ownership now. Pogba's 9.5% as well. All it needs is an attacking return and you've lost that as well.
I'm not feeling it. I'm genuinely not sold on Martial. The only reason that people are talking about him is the OOP, but yeah, I'm not feeling it.
All right, so you want to go without? I think that's probably an error.
I think leave. I'd rather have Pogba and Pepe, even in my regular team, than Anthony Martial.
Or we take a hit and get him in, say, for Lamela and drop one of them back 5 down to like a 4 million or something.
Still big at the back. I'm still feeling big at the back.
Well, we're going to get rid of Lamela anyway, either way, right? It was kind of a game week 1 punt. I think, Martial for Lamela and ditch one of them defenders down.
That means we're going in with double United midfield, although technically it's a midfielder and an attacker.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not averse to that. I don't know who you'd go with as 4 million, maybe Rico.
Well, you can have Lundstrom.
You can
have any of them except Kelly.
Lundstrom, Tomo doesn't reckon he'll play this weekend. Our Sheffield United correspondent, he reckons Lundstrom's going to get dropped on the bench. So I'd go with Rico.
You didn't turn up for Clash of the Correspondents yesterday, did you? Because you're on fucking holiday. Neil don't think Rico will play for Bournemouth, mate.
Oh, on that, tell me you asked Neil why he played his bench boost in game week 1.
I fucking forgot, didn't I?
Oh no! I'm going to get him on the blower. I want to know what happened with that. All right, no worries.
So we could drop. Listen, keep Stones and Laporte. Zuma can stay for now because it wouldn't be enough for us anyway financially. So it's dropped Doherty or Louise. It'd be easy to get either of them back.
Yeah, true. I would have dropped Stones if I'm honest with you.
You dropped Stones?
I would have, yeah.
Nah, keep Stones and Laporte, mate.
Then get rid of David Luiz.
All right, get rid of Sideshow Bob. They've got Liverpool and Spurs after this week, right? We don't know if he's going to play tomorrow.
I'd say David Luiz. Though David Luiz is attacking returns are more sporadic, and Doherty is more consistent.
All right, so we get rid of Lamella, Luiz, bring in Marshall. Who are we saying as the 4 then?
Like lucky dip. Leave it to your free choice, whatever you feel.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll put it out on a vote on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
The community can decide for us.
Yes.
All right, that's the deal. I'll put that out after the pod and in the notes, whatever.
Perfect.
How did the dead team do?
Dead team was 70-something points. Not bad. Not bad.
Where is it in Tom and Nick's league?
Like quite low down, 400 and something, I think, if I remember from memory.
Oh,
I don't know
shit.
More. But there's nothing we can do with that team. So no transfers allowed, no chips to be played, nothing doing.
Everyone's fit still, though. It's a good start.
Yeah, that's the main thing, which doesn't normally happen. We're normally trying to battle that. Let me pull up the dead team for that. Are you making any changes to your Southern Softies team?
Probably not, I would say. I had 60 points, so I'm already bottom of the correspondent league with this last week. Mate, but I'm going to be better off rolling because there's a couple of things I'm not happy with. Like, obviously, I don't know what Vertonghen's situation is. Getting Craig Cathcart in from Watford was a massive mistake. So I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to stick Diop in this week to play with Maitland-Niles and Zuma in the back 3. Midfield 4, Pepe, Lucas, Pedro, Fraser. Front 3, Wilson, Kane, Captain Aubameyang.
Okay, fair play. I'm not making any changes either. I'd rather roll. I've got Pope in goal, Robertson, Trent, and Dean as my back 3. Perez, Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne, Pogba in the middle of the pitch. Jota, Wood, and Vardy up front. I think Jota against United and Vardy against Chelsea and Perez against Chelsea are 3 potentially decent options. So yeah.
Cool. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah, I think so. My kids are in the next room. They're going to want me to take them to a swimming pool or something.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be back with a bunch of shows on Tuesday.
Are we not doing anything Monday?
Yes, on People's Poll, but we'll be doing it as we are now, mate, where I'll be still probably another 2 shades dark on the makeup scale.
And I'll be another 2 shades more pasty. Brilliant.
Taylor, there you go. You'll blend into the wall.
I've got a final message where I've got Manchild dancing behind the fucking camera, dickhead.
Yes.
This week's going to be low scoring.
Oh. Why?
Because captaincies don't look like they looked last week, right?
Yeah, true. I think it'll be a spread. I think rather than being low scoring, you're still going to get people that will get your 80s and 90s. But what all you heard was 80 plus scores last week on Twitter. I think there is going to be a much more spread out kind of set of results this week.
I would take a score in the 50s this coming week now, happily. Honestly, I got a feeling this week could be the complete opposite. Interesting. Well, we shall see. All right, let's wrap it up. Good luck, mate. Yeah, let's do it. Just, if there is, I'm going to be watching the Spurs City game in a bar in St. Julien in Malta. So if there's any Planet FPL listeners that are there, then tweet me
My Twitter handle's in the bio, and you never know. We'll have a pint and watch City 3, Spurs 1, because Harry Kane has to get me some points.
Yeah, and on that note, talking about Saturdays, do come to the live show on the 24th, kids.
Yes, more news to follow in future tweets and shows.
Cool, love it.
Love it. Ciao for now.
Cue music, man, child. See you, Suj.
See you later, mate.
The Fantasy Football Show.